Good morning. Welcome back into Wake Up. I'm Rob Finnerty. I want to welcome back our powerhouse panel. We've got former Nevada State GOP chairwoman and Republican strategist Amy Tarkanian and National Advisory Board member for Project 21, Christopher Arps. Great to have you both on this morning. We got a lot to cover. Amy, this one is especially for you. It looks like the Olympics in Japan. Opening ceremonies now, not that far off. July the 23rd. They might not happen. Take a listen.
The travel advisory is an advisory. It's not a ban. But, you know, our position remains. It has not changed on the Olympics. You know, we respected the decision to delay the Olympics, the Games last summer, and we understand the careful consideration that the Japanese government and the International Olympic Committee are weighing as they prepare for the Tokyo Olympics that's just coming up right around the corner.
So, Amy, that's the Deputy Press Secretary speaking there. Coronavirus is a big problem in Japan right now. This would be the second time, as you heard, if they do cancel it, that the Summer Games would have been pushed off as a result of the virus. The biggest newspaper in Japan is actually calling for the Games to be canceled. That newspaper is also an official sponsor of the game. That just sort of shows how bad the problem is. My question, and I think this is just a question that if I were at home watching the show, I'd ask this. If the athletes are vaccinated, and I can't speak for athletes from other countries, but if they're vaccinated and their coaches are vaccinated, who cares?
Well, that's a fair question. However, let's play devil's advocate. If you have the Japanese government along with these major corporations that are politely alluding to, hey, could you please not participate? Could you please stay home?
Right.
I think that we are actually being pretty disrespectful. But on the other hand, these athletes have worked their entire lives, most of them, to get to this point. So it's a very tough situation.
Yeah, they've worked their entire lives for the Olympics that didn't happen last summer. And you hate to see it happen again. I don't know if a neutral site is possible. I don't think the Olympics need to be, you know, this grand. The ratings for the Olympics have been going down every 4 years for several years now. So I don't know if they need to be the big pomp and circumstance. Just let's have the Olympics. Let's do it. And, you know, you can do it in Rochester, New York or something. You know what I mean? And just get them out of the way so these athletes can compete. Chris, Joe Biden, and this report has been circulating for the past day or so, but apparently he was considering Gretchen Whitmer for vice president. I guess Kamala Harris and Gretchen Whitmer were the front runners for that post. He interviewed them both twice. And I'm wondering if you think the president has any buyer's remorse right now.
I think he should have buyer's remorse. Kamala Harris, she has not done a press conference regarding the budget. She has not had a press conference since she's been vice president. We all know that Kamala Harris was the pick because, first, she's a female, because Joe Biden had a lot of problems with groping in his past. And also, I think she was chosen because she was an African-American, and the Democratic Party need a high African-American turnout in order to win this election. So I think he is having buyer's remorse, and I think that's also part of the reason why you never see her.
That's actually, I hadn't thought about that angle. It's clear that, you know, she was, you remember the primaries, Amy? I mean, Kamala Harris, she was vicious in her attacks of Joe Biden, who was the front runner at that time. Joe Biden, according to a new book, the quote is, he was torn between his head and his heart. His heart was with Gretchen Whitmer, but his head was in politics, and he knew that to get elected, he might need Kamala Harris on the ticket.
Yeah, I'm going to take it a different route. I don't think he has buyer's remorse because the powers that be want people in those positions that they can control. And I think Kamala is actually listening to her directions very well. They don't want her traveling. They don't want her going to the border. And so she's being a very good vice president in their eyes. If you had Gretchen Whitmer, as we've already found, that she has broken her own protocols multiple times by traveling and by, you know, getting herself into all kinds of trouble. So I actually think the fact that you mentioned the primaries, if you remember, Biden actually was struggling. He did terrible in Iowa and New Hampshire. And
He's a bad candidate. He's always been a bad candidate for president, by the way. If there weren't coronavirus, I don't think Joe Biden would have come out in front in those primaries.
I agree, but I think President Obama, it's rumored that he you know, basically swooped in to save the day, and because they didn't want a Sanders nomination. And so the deal was done that Kamala would be the vice president and they would help Biden cross the finish line. So Biden actually sold his soul.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that as well.
I think they also risk too that because Kamala Harris has not been out in the public, and if his popularity does go down, I think you're going to see backlash from African American leaders saying, "Where's Kamala? Where is she? She's supposed to be vice president, and you're hiding her away. Why is that?"
Well, I guess, Chris, so I don't want to stay on this for too long, but I guess let's say 2024, Joe Biden's 82 years old. Who knows what's going to happen? It's a long way off. But let's say he, decides to be a one-term president. Kamala's the nominee in 24. I'll tell you what, 65 days and counting that she has not traveled to the border. She was asked to manage the crisis March 24th. That's 65 days ago. All this is going to be relitigated when she is a candidate. Whether it's in 2024 or 2028, we all know she's already run for president.
I hate to scare you, but there's another article that's been released where, people could very well live past 123.
Okay, that's what I want to talk about. Thank you. Thank you. Let's bring Rachel in on this. She's big on this.
No, the new report
Rachel,
came
if you
out
can believe it,
yesterday.
she's pregnant. She's going to give birth any day now, but Rachel is actually 120 years old. That's how good she looks. Because
Wow,
if you eat
amazing.
right
I want
and you
what
get
she's
enough
having.
sleep, yeah.
No.
According to doctors in the UK and in the United States, this is a long-form study. These researchers have concluded that the maximum lifespan for human beings is between 120 and 150 years old, no more than 150. So my question about that is, okay, if you don't believe it, you go back 150 years, the average lifespan for a man was like 48, and now it's like 78. So why not? It could go up. My question is, though, I don't really want to live 50 years,
No, you make it to 50
like
and you
that.
still have 100 to go.
No, I know, but I want to front load it. Like I want between age 30 and 50, but ages 80 to 110, something like that. Like I don't want to be,
Hey, we could take it back even further. Let's go into biblical times. I mean, those people, they lasted hundreds of years.
Well, yeah. Hey, the oldest woman ever to live. She died in 1997. Jean Clement. She was 122 when she passed away. And God rest Jean Clement. But I'll tell you what, I've seen pictures of her when she was having her 122nd birthday, and it didn't look like the quality of life was that great at that time.
I've actually thought about, living long-term like that, and I don't think I would want that. First of all, your parents are probably gone, your children are probably gone, or your friends are probably gone. You're going to be 130, 140 years old, basically alone.
Yeah, walking around the house.
That's depressing.
That's real. Jeez, Chris, I hadn't even thought about that. That's terrible. That's devastating.
There's nobody, everybody's
Going
dead.
back to bed.
I think the theory is, Chris, that everyone would be relative. So everyone would be. You wouldn't be the only one that's 150 like Gandalf and a white Shadowfax horse running around. No, everyone would be old. So you'd be motoring around together. Who knows? It could happen. Panel, really enjoyed it. Good to see you both as always. Amy, Chris, we'll see you guys again very soon.
Thanks.